Whatever you did to this place, Fly, it looks awesome. But what happened to the big ugly guy who used to live here?
Who, Barry? Bro, Barry's in hell. He tried to crush me with an anvil. Look, I filmed it and everything.
We don't have a trap door because we... Asswipe! They can see my guts!
Yeah, but how did you manage to film there? Wouldn't you have already had to have cameras set up in hell?
Bro, you ask too many questions. Aren't you late for church or something?
Sorry. I'm just wondering where you got the money for all these renovations. I mean, no offense, but this place used to look like an Arby's bathroom.
Well, Barry may have been poor, but he had surprisingly good credit. Oh, God, what now?
It's me, you little pissants.
Jesus Christ, he's trying to come back.
My ass is stuck. But today's movie is 1990 smash hit Total Recall, starring the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Bro, how the f*** did you escape from hell?
For 14 days and 14 nights, I wandered the innermost circle of the devil's playground, surrounded by the most notorious sinners in human history. And then...
Okay, yeah, give it a rest, Barry. I'm already bored of your story.
Hey, Barry! You see the Orkin Man down there? I'd like to shit in his ear.
These bugs had better clear the fuck out of my apartment because it looks like we're analyzing 1990's Total Recall on a brand new flat screen TV. Who paid for all this crap?
Total Recall is directed by Paul Verhoeven, one of my personal favorites. Like iRobot, this movie was inspired by a Philip K. Dick short story. But unlike iRobot, this movie isn't a complete wank fest.
It's time to meet Douglas Quaid. He's a roided-up construction worker who's been spending too much time listening to Elon because all of Quaid's dreams and nightmares revolve around the big red wasteland.
And more violence last night on Mars, where terrorists...
Ori, let's do it.
Do what?
Move to Mars.
It's just more bullshit propaganda from the Mars Board of Tourism.
Now this is the plan. Get your ass to Mars.
So, I guess because Quaid can't take an actual trip to Mars, he gets the bright idea to take a virtual vacation by having his brain hosed down with fabricated memories.
Slim, athletic, voluptuous.
And apparently he's into rubber sex dolls.
Athletic.
Ah, sort of like how you told your senile pops you had taken him to Cirque du Soleil, even though all you did was drive him past the parking lot of that shitty casino off I-90.
You can't affect me, Fly. I've already licked the rim of Hell's toilet and survived to tell the tale.
God damn it, this is even worse than before. Now he thinks he's all wise and shit.
So anyway, Quaid ends up refusing the brainwashing facility's TOS.
Get off you! You blew my cover!
What the fuck is going on here?
And he wakes to an unfamiliar cab driver.
Huh?
How did I get in this taxi?
The door opened. You got in. Hell of a day, isn't it?
Does that voice sound familiar to you?
I can't place it, but the Johnny Cab is definitely one of my favorite parts of this movie.
But beyond the weird cab ride, Quaid is also surprised to discover that he has a John Wickian aptitude for carrying out the old ultra-violence. Opposite Schwarzenegger's Quaid, we have Copenhagen, a fairly conventional corpo boss guy played by Ronnie Cox, who also played the corrupt asshole in RoboCop.
I want a chopper! Now! Dick, you're fired!
Thank you.
son of a bitch has some long arms. But more importantly, Total Recall sets up a compelling cat-and-mouse style dynamic between Schwarzenegger's Quaid and the always terrifying Michael Ironsides.
Oh shit, we're almost back to the Johnny Cab.
I'm not familiar with that address. Would you please repeat the destination? Please, fasten your seatbelt.
Jesus, Dick Danglin' Christ. It's old character actor Robert Picardo from that first episode we did on Ridley Scott's Legend.
That's right. Our boy played iconic roles such as Meg Mucklebones in Legend and the cowboy from Inner Space. It's good to see this man get the respect he deserves in Total Recall.
The fare is 18 credits, please.
Sue me, dickhead.
We hope you enjoyed the ride.
So Quaid eventually has to meet himself.
You are not you. You're me. No shit.
Because apparently he has a sinister twin brother named Hauser, who works as a simp to the evil 90s Copenhagen corpo guy.
No, man, that's not his twin brother. You need to pay closer attention. Quaid is Hauser.
Quaid is Hauser. It's a metaphor.
No, it's not a metaphor, Barry. A metaphor is when I say that your internet search history is a stain upon the moral fabric of all humankind. What I'm saying is that Quaid and Hauser are literally the same person. Before the movie begins, Hauser is working for Copenhagen. They brainwash Hauser and make him believe he's Quaid so that Hauser can infiltrate the resistance and get to Kuato, the psychic mutant.
Speaking of Kuato, he's played by another top character actor, Marshall Bell.
Jesus, this guy's even uglier than you, Barry. But I bet he still gets more pussy.
Now, some of you... hey, f*** off, Fly. Some of you old and washed viewers might recognize Marshall Bell from his role as Magistrate Claggett from HBO's Deadwood. Hey, Einstein, did that look like frontier-era South Dakota to you?
Okay, calm down there, Jay Sherman. Look, HBO is very protective of its clips, and that was Marshall Bell from a different Paul Verhoeven movie. Anyway, it's time for the ad break.
Time to get paid! Today's episode is brought to you by honeyhole.com's Large Marge. It's a full-bodied 114-gram purple silicone paperweight with a flared base for safety. Huh. Looks like originally there was a different word that you scratched out and replaced with paperweight.
Nah, it's definitely a paperweight, bro. I mean, what does it look like to you?
Well, it sure is big.
Yes, Barry. It's definitely big.
Maybe they should have named it Grimbus. Do our viewers know who Grimbus is?
Well, see, the ones who are furries definitely know who he is. But our viewers, you know, they're very open-minded when it comes to managing their papers.
Thank God. See, we're finally starting to attract the managerial class, just like I said we would. I'm glad to advertise a product I can finally get behind. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and order a large Marge for my mom and dad. Their paperweights seem to be always disappearing.
Yeah, that's why you gotta get the flared base. Anyway, you might want to go ahead and get them the extra large Marge there, Daddy Warbucks. Don't cheap out. P.S. Each order comes with a tiny crowbar and a bottle of self-warming lube.
See, I knew you'd have to do that. We finally have something wholesome to advertise, and you have to ruin it with one of your perverted jokes. Anyway, folks, get your large Marge paperweight from honeyhole.com while supplies last. That's honeyhole.com, spelled with an F. The promo code is, what's that say? Buttcosm. Huh. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Maybe it's Austrian, like Arnie. Game on!
Yo, Barry, is it true that when you're in hell you get continually violated by the devil?
You know, I never actually got to meet the head honcho. Apparently, he's kind of a big deal. His dog, on the other hand. Stop, doggy. No, that is a bad, bad doggy. How did you get footage of that? Anyway, if the character we're calling Quaid, even though he's Hauser, hopes to escape Michael Ironsides, he'll have to put on a little drag show, which might not go over too well with some of you viewers.
Huh. I mean, she looks a lot better than most of the meth heads you've been bringing home.
Asswipe. So after the drag show, it's time for a scenic train ride across the godforsaken surface of Mars. And eventually, we end up at this Martian bar, where Hank Schrader is serving up an early version of his famous Schrader Brow. Yes, that's actually Dean Norris.
You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here, Hauser.
Look who's talking.
Hey, Tony, give the big guy a break.
And Copenhagen is such a malicious corpo asswipe. He's going to make the mutants on Mars suffer through an entire summer without air conditioning. But it turns out that Quaid is really just an implanted personality that was orchestrated by both Copenhagen and Hauser, so that Quaid could get close enough to give away Kuato's location, thus enabling Copenhagen to have Kuato killed, so that he could serve up a saucy line or two.
No wonder he kept out of sight.
See what I mean? Quaid is really Hauser. Once you've got that detail, the entire movie kind of snaps into place. Just like that dog snapped into place when it mounted up and started to...
Asswipe. Okay, shut up about the dog already.
Hey, how come you haven't said anything about acting ability?
Behold.
Laurie, don't you understand? I feel like I was meant for something more than this.
Look, I like this movie, but you gotta admit, Arnie couldn't act his way out of a Teflon sweater.
Yeah, but in this movie, he's not really himself. So it kind of makes sense if the lines sound a little bit unnatural.
Yeah, that's another thing. Your analysis doesn't go far enough. Because it turns out that even Quaid Hauser's discoveries about implanted memories are themselves just further orchestrations set up in advance by the producers of an intergalactic reality TV show. In effect, Quaid Hauser's entire life has been staged, and the actors have all been implanted with false memories to make them act out whatever storyline the producers desire.
I'll be back. Only in a rerun.
Oh, shit. So even Hauser isn't the real Hauser. And even if you could somehow get to the character that existed before the Hauser implant, how could you be sure that that Hauser was the real Hauser? Maybe there is no real Hauser.
What if Hauser and Quaid are both false memories planted inside the mind of Benny the cab driver?
Hey man, you need a cab?
So Benny is Quaid?
Quaid is Benny!
Yo, you remember that sex worker at the mutant bar who's got 3 boobs? Maybe it's symbolic. Each boob represents an alternate branch of the psychic trinity that makes up Hauser, Quaid, Benny.
See, now we're in deep shit. I think my brain just went full Busey.
Well, you better take some of these party pills to sober on up.
And even the producers of the intergalactic TV show are just the subjects of implanted memories. In reality, the entire human population is locked away on a distant space prison city controlled by anemic aliens. Every night, they restructure the entire cityscape and implant false memories within the citizens.
You idiots still ain't going deep enough. What if you're Quaid?
I'm Quaid?
I'm Quaid! Bankrupt Barry is just a false memory, implanted within the mind of my true self, a jacked Austrian action star who gets to bang Rachel Ticotin.
Like the great Taoist thinker who went to bed and dreamed he was a mantis.
It's a butterfly, asshole, not a goddamn mantis.
When he woke, he could not be sure whether he was a man who had dreamed he was a butterfly, or whether he was a butterfly now dreaming he was a man.
Anyway, it turns out that Hauser, or Mantis, or whatever he is, has a good heart in the end, so he decides to power up Dean Norris's Martian air conditioner, even though all of reality is just a false memory construct and no one actually exists. The ending reveals that not only is Quaid not himself, but even this discovery has been orchestrated only for the purposes of better ratings. So Quaid uses Copenhagen to create some primetime TV of his own.
Oh! Oh, yes!
Bro, this part's hard for me to watch.
Yeah!
Jesus. Still going, huh?
Oh, yeah!
Hey, Barry. I think maybe me and my friends have had a bit too much of the old devil's itching powder there. I mean, seriously, what is the overall point of this movie?
I think it's telling us not to become too attached to our own self-conceptions. The self is yet another story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and as such, it's a narrative that's subject to inaccuracy, egotistic inflation, and plain old confabulation. Men's minds are uncertain, and the past that was differs little from the past that was not.
You're so pretentious, bruh.
I can't be sure that my memories of hell correspond to events that occurred in reality, but I am reasonably certain that you maxed out my goddamn credit cards to buy a bunch of shit from IKEA, and I will kill you.
Hey, don't forget to pick up a large Marge.
Listen to me, you need to take a deep breath and calm down. All I'm saying is that you can't act worth a drizzling shit. Whoa, take it easy there, Captain Steroids. I still like the movie. I'm just saying you suck at acting. That's all.
Loco.
What? Those aren't even words.
I'm a swirly curly.
Okay, do not touch that button. Last Action Hero sucks, asshole!